Hello, everyone. Welcome to Perspectives. My name is Todd Norton, and I am pleased to introduce my co executive producer and co host, Jason McConnell.
Hey everyone, welcome to Perspectives.
Need to say something from the very beginning. The views, thoughts, analysis, and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the author and the podcast participants. They do not necessarily reflect the opinions or views of Boise State University or the Idaho State Board of Education, and no endorsements of the material contained in this podcast by those entities is implied. Jason, I suspect you face a similar situation.
Indeed, nor are the opinions expressed here a reflection of the views of the University of Wyoming or any of its governing bodies.
Perspectives. What is it? We mean Perspectives to be an informative and entertaining podcast program that explores the complexities and various perspectives on contemporary society. And then we hope to bring some clarity to those issues through expertise and discussion.
So I'd invite folks to look across all aspects of their lives, our relationships with friends and coworkers, our social media accounts, our use of technology, to consider the full range of beliefs and values, whether at the local, regional, or national level. I'm willing to bet that many of us will recognize very quickly just how thoroughly divided people are on issues that we hold dear.
So the notion of perspectives has at least three senses. First, a hallmark of nearly any significant social issue is that people hold varying and sometimes conflicting perspectives on that issue. Second, and importantly, we, as members of civil society, bear some responsibility to attempt to understand, not necessarily agree with or even appreciate, but to understand the perspectives of others. And third, we're hoping finally it is critical for us to look at the perspectives from people with actionable expertise to help us contribute to that society.
So, one aspect of modern American life is the pressure applied to each of us to join a side on any particular issue. In spite of the reality that on so many challenges we face, there are more than just two possible points of view. Perspectives, our podcast, is a modest attempt to offer a platform through which we can explore that array of views. With that in mind, our podcast is focused on a topic area of interest. We will invite guests onto the show, not just because they're interesting people, but because they can help us understand an aspect of the topic we're interested in.
So, this is not a show about what Jason and Todd think. As co hosts, we're focused on creating a platform and a space to hear from others. So, what's season one? In season one, we're focusing on civil society. Given the critical nature and the important role that it plays in our podcast, it made sense that we spend some time thinking about it. We will invite people to the show to help us understand a range of aspects of civil society. In each episode, we will explore some nuances of that particular dimension of the topic and ask people to provide some guidance and what we can do to help improve things. As an example, I suspect nearly everyone who's been on social media has experienced some level of harassment. This is not a naive call to set our differences aside and to just get along. But how can we start to have a conversation about that and elevate the discussion about those disagreements? It is perhaps ironic that actually one thing that we might have relative agreement on is based on some recent Pew Research data. Roughly 64% of Americans believe or express the opinion that social media has a mostly negative effect on our society. And only about 10% thought that it had a mostly positive effect. Jason, given your area of expertise, I'd be interested to hear from you on what aspects of this are relevant. Help us understand.
Yes. So, first, let me just give a shout out to the Pew Research Center. I think they do really great work. I read a lot of their stuff. So, there's actually a wealth of research that explores not only why people behave so badly online, but also the damaging psychological effects of those interactions. With all the typical social cues that govern our interactions face to face on the daily filtered out of our online interactions, we end up making snap judgments about each other based on posts, tweets, etc. It's a recipe for incivility to say the least. Now, that being said, we know that social media is also addictive, much like nicotine or some sort of narcotic. So even as we have experiences there that are unpleasant, we just can't resist checking our smartphone compulsively. I know I do. I pull the thing out of my pocket and I'm thinking to myself, there is nothing good on there for you, but I pull it out and check it. In that sense, the cycle of intolerance is exceptionally hard to break out of, as we're constantly trying to find that initial euphoria we felt back when social media was shiny and new to us. And instead, very, very quickly, all we find is more views that we disagree with and more triggers for us to make comments online that we simply would not make to someone face to face.
I appreciate the perspective. Things have certainly shifted, and social media just one example of the way the discourse has shifted very significantly in a short amount of time, and we're attempting to adapt. We're hoping that Perspectives will be a podcast for us to have have conversations around a variety of those aspects. So once again, welcome to Perspectives. We look forward to the season. Have a good day.